What are John Walter's chances for this weekend? It sounded kind of touch and go when you spoke the other night.
Yeah, I'm just saying there, it doesn't look overly positive. We'll give him every chance, of course, but as we speak, I'd imagine we'll be without him again.
Any other issues ahead of this one?
A couple of knocks, but nothing that I don't think, unless I've got the wrong idea or information, that should keep anyone out.
Tough call at the back. You've got Toto back, and he's not let you down.
No, I think he was doing very well. Arguably, not probably that many games in truth, but was again probably one of his most consistent performers. And then Luke Chambers and Matt Pennington have had the last few games together, and I have to say I think they've done very well. So, like I say, a tough call.
Is that one you've decided on? Yes, you'll give it to the very final training session.
I think I'm pretty much there, but you're entitled to change your mind, aren't you, until that team sheet goes in.
How well has Matt Pennington done for you the last few games?
Very well. Very impressed with how he came into that first game, having not really trained with the players, and like I said, it was a last minute deal that happened. It came straight across, but we got a little bit of advantage that Nathan had worked with him at Leeds, and also had some sort of information on the player from people that I trust, and they were very positive. So maybe not the biggest of surprises what I have seen, but still nice to see it firsthand, and players sometimes take time to settle. I think he certainly hasn't needed time to. He's got straight on with his business. Very unassuming, very good character. Someone that you wouldn't think, he's at a Premier League club, he's a little bit precious or anything like that. He's a really good lad.
We haven't really talked about Dean Gerken since you made the call over your goalkeeper before Norwich. Understandably, all the talk was about Bart, but you must be really pleased with it Dean's taken to the position.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard the fans singing his name, and rightly so, because I felt for him a little bit when as you say, I made that call, and a lot of the talk was more about who wasn't in the team rather than focusing on the lads that are in there, and Dean's certainly not let us down. Made some good saves in the Hull game. I think the Norwich one wasn't a bad one. How it turned out, it didn't have too many saves to make in truth, but then did well at Hull to keep us in the game, albeit it didn't help us in the end. And then the other night, a couple of big saves at good times, and as I'm sure he'll be pleased to get back in the team and then show what he can do. It
may be difficult to judge on that 45 minutes the other night, but you've seen enough in Caden and Ellis's games to suggest they can dovetail as a pair?
Oh, definitely. That's irrespective of 45 minutes. I know that they could be a partnership if that's what I decide to go with. I also think they can both play with John, with his experience. He'll help him and talk him through the game. I think that's an option to us when they're all available, and if I want to, like I say, go with a partnership again.
And that second half and the result against a good side last night gives you something to build on, doesn't it?
Yes. I think all our home games, in truth, have had a positive element to them, albeit they've been draws. Whether it's sort of a great start against Blackburn and a great ending, then very impressive performance with 10 men against Aston Villa. The Norwich game, a derby, and although we were pegged back in that, I think everyone felt we were slightly the better team. And then the other night, yes, a game or two off in terms of scoreline, but I have watched it back. Maybe I was a little bit harsh on the first half performance, in truth. Albeit people will clearly say, oh, second half was miles better, we scored, we won that 1-0. It was interesting watching, and you always prefer it that way. If it is going to be a draw, that you've the ones that finish it, and had the chance we Caden to have possibly won it. But as you say, against a very, very good team.
Still having to score twice to win a game, though, that must be a frustration, that lack of a clean sheet.
Yeah, and I think the other night would have been a big ask, as in the way that they've been going. you know, the header itself that we conceded, I have to say, it doesn't look much. It's a great header from a player banging form and top of the goal scoring charts. But you know, that clean sheet is proving elusive along with the victory. If we could put both together, then that'd make for a happy manager.
And when you change system like you did ahead of the game and also at half time, do the players have a say on that kind of thing? Can they voice their opinions?
No. No, that's what I'm paid for. You know, they can say, oh, you know, we just naturally as you're walking off the pitch, sometimes you might hear comments like, oh, we're getting overrunning here, or that's not happening. But you know, that's very much you know, my call, and you know, I know why I did what I did, and you know, whether that was starting or changing. And you know, that's again what I'm paid for. A lot of thought goes into it. You know, despite what some people might think, and you live and die by decisions, but you know, ultimately you've got to do what you think's right. You
have to be single-minded, don't you, and have the courage of your convictions and not being scared to make a big decision, which we've seen from you the last few weeks.
You know, I think if I'm ever deemed as someone that's frightened to make a big decision, then I'll start to question myself. As a manager, you are the one, your head's on the block. So irrespective of what anyone else thinks, I'm always going to make decisions that I think are right. And this is what always confuses me when people question whether it's myself or other managers. You know, unless they're got a massive payoff and they're hoping that someone wants to let them go and lay on a beach. You know, you're trying to do what's right to keep you in a job and get your results. You know, whether people think that it's a bit of a different idea, but I'd say we're in the job as managers because we've, well, in the main got either a decent track record, or you know the game, been in the game a long time, and are probably in a better place to at least attempt to make those decisions.
And when we spoke on Monday, sitting here at Playford Road, you said you were due to have a meeting with Marcus on Monday or Tuesday. How does he see things at the minute?
Yeah, that was Tuesday. I had a good chat, and you know, we went through a lot because it's the first time we spoke properly in terms of everything to do with what we're trying to do here, and just checking on things. And you know, I have to say it was a positive conversation.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
No. Sorry, no headlines.
Bolton this weekend, a very different proposition to Brentford, one would imagine, looking at their squad and the way they're set up.
Yeah, every game's different, but maybe I think you said to me after the game about, you know, 4 points from the week would be great. While I don't disagree with that, there's a lot of hard work needed to go in to make that happen, and we certainly won't be disrespectful to Bolton in any shape or form, and we have to put a lot of effort into the game, thought, and hopefully add some quality along the way if we are to get that victory and make it 4 points. You know, they've got some very experienced players in there, and have made a pretty good start to the season. You know, I think they'll be happy overall with the start that they've had.
A lot of bookies before the season had them down as maybe a bottom three side, but as you alluded to there, looking at some of their players, they've got the back three, for example, they don't look like a team that are likely to struggle.
No, I think, you know, there's part of that. I think, was it the last day of the season they stayed up on? There's obviously been some issues at the football club, you know, but knowing, you know, Phil Parkinson, Steve Parkin and the staff there, they won't allow the players to, you know, let that influence how they go about the business and do the job, and they've always been difficult teams to play against. So again, I don't see that being any different, you know, on Saturday.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you.
James Collins update. Paul, is he likely to be back, able to train again anytime?
No, on that one, as far as I've been made aware, I'm surprised we haven't seen some news in the press in some shape or form, but he won't be signing for Ipswich Town.
In terms of going somewhere else?
Yes.
Things. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a disappointment, seeing as you had him in the building and someone that you liked?
Yeah, I mean, made no secret of I would have liked to have you know, tried to do something there, and you know, I stick by the decision that he wasn't fit at the time, and I would have liked him to have proved that, and that's again trying to make the right decision for the football club. So, you know, I think if what I'm led to believe happens, then I can understand it. You know, it's not an issue on that side, but like you said, the fact that he was here, and you know, I think genuinely did enjoy his time here, and that's what he said to me. But thankfully we've got 3 lads, and we were just talking about that. You know, saying we've got a big decision to make, but ultimately, if we added another one into that, it makes it even more difficult. If they all stay fit and in form, we haven't got a problem. The danger is if they're not, whether that's injury or out of form, then it would have been nice to have had that extra one.
Any update on Genoa Danassian's work permit situation?
No, as no one's been in touch with me with that, so I think we are same situation. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it seems a very odd situation. I'm sure it'll get resolved. If John's out of contention again, out of the squad with injury, then it's not an issue for the weekend. But when, you know, if he is fit, then again that makes me have to make a decision that I'd rather not.
Yeah. Hughes and Bishop, 2 people that people are wanting to know almost on a weekly basis where they're both at. What was the situation? Teddy obviously came off with that hamstring problem. Have you had any update on how bad that is?
Yeah, shouldn't be anything to worry about, but he's certainly not training and therefore not fit. Emia's trained today, did all the session, but I think he's come in and had a little complaint. I haven't had an update, so you'll have to forgive me for can't give you the exact whether that's he's just felt something or it's more of a problem. But he's again, one training session, clearly he's not going to be in the shape to come into contention. It'd be great if we can keep him out there on a regular basis.
From what you've seen of both those 2 and what you've been told from people in the building, are they 2 that you'd really like to have at your disposal? Do you think they could add something different? Yeah,
and I think in fairness, there's probably people better placed than myself to really emphasise that. But as you say, that's what I've been told, that they would really add value to the squad and perhaps to the team. So, you know, that's great. My, I guess, frustration is how long they have been injured in one shape or form, and every time we've sort of felt like we've been making progress, it seems like we're having to take, you know, at least a step back, if not 2. So, you know, I honestly can't say when I feel that they will be ready. Nothing seems to be straightforward, unfortunately.
Wing backs, you've articulated why you went with what you did on Tuesday night, and it didn't work, as you said, in the first half. Is that something that you'd look at again if you felt that the game circumstances? Yeah,
I think we've got the players that can do that. I think I've heard a few sort of comments, not directly, that from within the squad they felt comfortable with that and think that that's something that could work. Though it didn't work, not because of Jordan Spence and Genoa. It didn't work because we didn't keep the ball well enough. And watching it back, that was the biggest thing more than anything. Brentford will cause any team problems in terms of in possession, but what we didn't do well enough is execute the game plan with the ball and gave over possession too easily. Something that a fan that's been to training today, sat at the back there, the gentleman, saw that with his own eyes very clearly. It's nice when someone else sees, you know, what I did as well, and that was the reason. You know, so that's not particularly to do with the system. I just felt we needed to get a couple more players on the pitch, a little bit more attack minded. That was all, and that lended itself to more a change system.
So that's a confidence issue more than anything else in terms of giving the ball away. It was a little bit hot potato at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and I think that's where any sort of frustration at times from, you know, a small section of the crowd comes in, because that's kind of you almost want to do that yourself. So I understand that, but that's where it's, you know, the situation you're in, it becomes more difficult. Second half, it still wasn't nowhere near perfect, but at the same time we did it better. You know, we found more forward passes, and we did have some better spells of possession. In terms of, I think, again, while they had some very good moves in the game, we did actually make them turn over possession, probably more than I've seen in the games that I watched, even first half. So to a degree, some of what we were trying to do was working, but we weren't good enough with the football.
Do you feel differently about that game, having watched it back? It felt worse to you at the time?
Yes, yeah.
You kind of adapted things with Brentford in mind, because you know you've waxed lyrical about them. We've all seen what a good team they are.
Yeah.
Is it different for Bolton? You know, do you think you can go back to what your true principles are and being on the front foot and maybe attacking a little bit more against them?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with changing formation, players, whatever it is for opposition. But what I've said, I'd been told at least. You probably get a better idea than myself. Again, was I think last season there was a feeling within the group. Now whether that's a feeling that they're looking for an excuse, I wouldn't know, because I know what players are like. I've been one myself, been involved in dressing rooms when things aren't going right. You cling on to the tiniest crumb of comfort to say, oh, you know, it's not our fault. You know, the wind were blowing a bit, so my passes were over it, whatever it is. But there seemed to be a feeling that there was more focus on the opposition on a regular basis. And I think we've, you know, apart from the obvious where you do your homework and your research and, like I said, pay respect to what you're going to come up against, at the same time a lot of that is in terms of, well, how can we hurt the opposition? The other night was a change because, you know, I didn't feel we would have done as well sticking to what we had been doing in that game. And I stand by to sort of try and clarify what I'm saying. The other night we may well have started with a system that started the second half. Might have been the same sort of game, because if you keep giving the ball away, again, it doesn't matter what system. Then we might have changed at half time and done a little better. So we can get carried away with it, but we did have a clear plan of what we were trying to do. But you know, I've got a clear view, and again, speaking to someone the other day, if we're on a journey, and hopefully a long journey, the path isn't going to be all smooth. There's going to be times we might have to go away from what I ideally want to do, but for the long term, you know, I'm very clear in what I want to achieve. And whenever we can look to do that along the way, then that's what we'll do.
How's the general mood in the camp at the moment? Because I can't imagine it's going to be tip-top at any club that's bottom of the league and winless. There are going to be, you know, a few moans and groans about the place, but how are you managing all of that at the moment?
Well, I think you may be, you know, I've got ears and I've got people that speak to me, so I think we might be trying to fish perhaps there. We 1 or 2 comments. The spirit in the camp is extremely good. I would imagine there's a couple of players within the group that would like to be in the team, and I'd be disappointed if that wasn't the case. And I haven't fallen out with any players, not to my knowledge. So if they have, then I would say that's a little bit childish, because I don't know about it.
Okay. But how the fans? You said that they've been the best that you've worked under so far. We've all been at grounds up and down the land where maybe some fans turn a bit quicker than others. You were applauded off at the end on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
You know, that must mean a lot that you got that reaction at the end.
Again, I think when I make a comment like saying what I did, it can be deemed as trying to, you know, almost get them on side, keep them on side, whatever it is. It was genuine. And the reason being is because there's such a amount of fans at this football club, to feel like you've got all of that backing is, I think, good very good and pleasing. And I think I get the impression that when there was change for a call, it's very easy to change your mind when things don't quite, start the way that you want. And I think overall, if that was the case, they'd have been a lot louder and not as supportive. But I think there is genuine with a lot of people's feelings and thoughts towards what they would like to see happen at their football club, and it ultimately is their football club. So I've been really impressed. As I'd mentioned, there was one or two sort of groans, and again, that's understandable because some of the passes, I'm sure that they've sat in the stand thinking, well, maybe I could have made that pass. But at the same time, there was some decent football played still. And I went to a game last night. There were more fans at the game I went to last night. There wasn't a better atmosphere there. And again, that's not me being biased or anything. We were talking about it earlier today. I thought the atmosphere was very good again. So that's credit to the supporters.
Thanks, Paul. Good luck.
Thank you.
I was saying that Marcus the other day, I had other managers sat there in situations where the results haven't gone well, and they kind of praised Marcus for his patience and his kind of calmness in those circumstances. Is that how you found him?
Yeah, I have to say that. He's employing me for a reason, which ultimately is to try and win games of football, which we haven't done, but at the same time to do that in a certain way and in time. What he kind of, I would say, he mentioned the fact that, again, we need to do what we need to do sort of short term if I feel that that's changing overall. But we know we're in a clear direction, there's a plan there, and he's fully supportive of that. So, that's, I guess, always nice to hear. He hasn't made me feel any different at any point, in truth. It's more just, again, being in football and seeing what happens sometimes. But no, he was, he spoke on Wednesday morning as well about the game. I think he said second half, I thought that was as well as we played, and I disagreed with him. But it was nice to hear that he was in positive mood, and that's what we've, nothing's changed in truth. So we, carry on and hopefully start to see the results that we want.
So you're developing a relationship with him. I mean, you don't see him very often. You said it was the second time you'd actually had a face-to-face meeting. Is it difficult to sort of establish that relationship with an owner when you don't see him very regularly?
I think as long as we speak often. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there are times it's nice to sit in the same room and look someone directly in the eyes and you get, I think, just a better feeling. But overall, it's not an issue. As I said, we talk often anyway. I think we were probably both ready for a little breather from each other after the transfer window, because we were on the phone constantly, and probably both relieved when that did shut, and just, like I said, concentrate more on what we have got and how we're going about as business.
One thing that sort of fans have been talking about the last few games really is the number of changes. That there's not been a settled 11. I know you've changed the system on Tuesday for a specific game. Is it a case of just trying to find a blend that will get you that win? Is that what you're looking at?
A little bit, but also not so much the blend. I just want players to, what I try to do with any squad is everyone has to feel that they've got a chance of playing. And that's how I manage. And at the minute, some performances have been okay and we've stuck with certain things, and other parts of it haven't, and that's probably why changes have been made. Now, I think before Saturday's game, I'd said about perhaps making changes irrespective of the score, but added to the fact I wasn't as happy with large parts of that performance. I think naturally there was going to be changes. But I think I'm no different than a lot of teams, and I think in regards to system, like I said, there was a genuine thought process behind it, and also we haven't changed that much. There's been little tweaks, not changes, So we, you know, I know, like I said, I know where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do. It hasn't helped with a couple of injuries at times, and then maybe people going away. But yes, so you know, it's never quite you know, as simple. But I am looking, and I've said that, for people to really, you know, hit better form and ultimately get that result. That's not to say, again, if you get a result that you just stick with it. Can be a lot of things wrong in it, same as there can be a lot of things right with a performance that doesn't get you 3 points.
We mentioned Emir and various other people. Tom Adeyemi and Andre, any progress on either of those two situations?
Tom, I didn't see him today actually. I've seen him in the building, but I didn't see him out on the pitch running, which he was on Monday and Tuesday. So I'm not quite sure, but again, a long way off, I think. Andre played on Monday, got himself a goal, got another 90 minutes, has trained this morning, done some extra with Emir and Chris Doig afterwards, and you know, continues his progress. So we're hopeful that continues. I think he seems as though he's in a decent place at the minute, and you know, let's hope that carries on so he comes into contention.
To train with the first team or the 23s?
Today it was the 23s group and some pros, a bit mixed today, to be honest.
Okay.
Paul, can I just ask James, excuse me, James Collins, did you actually make him an offer and he rejected it?
No. No, I think in fairness the offer was sort of common knowledge between the relevant parties.
Right.
It was more about just being fit, and in between another club showing an interest, I suppose.
And are you prepared to tell me which club he's going to?
No, just because I don't think that's right for me to do. But like I said, I don't think it'd be long, or unless something's gone wrong. But I haven't had a message or a call to say, can I come back or anything like that.
Thank you.
I was going to say, is it a club that's got a significantly bigger budget than Town that you'd never be able to kind of compete with? No.
Without being sort of personal to James, I'm not sure that you know, that it will be a financial reason that he's not joining us.
All right, thank you.